Groucho will tackle our first couple right after...
Tackle? He's got me with the Rams.
Can you think of a better word?
Yes, meat.
Groucho will meet our first couple.
No, with potatoes.
Groucho will meet our first couple right after we tackle this commercial, is what I...
Okay, well,
Elaine McDonnell and Ernest Mayo are standing by to talk to you.
You know that old McDonnell had a farm? E-I-E-I-O?
Yes. So, folks, you go in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word and divide an extra $100. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Elaine McDonnell and Ernest Mayo, huh? You and the Mayo brothers?
No.
Where are you from, Elaine?
Well, I am from Paris, France.
Well, crepes Suzette. What did you do when you come to this country?
Well,
That's French, country.
I was a teacher for the Berlin School of Languages.
Oh, that's very interesting. Could you give us a few words in Berlitz? Now, is this East Berlitz or West Berlitz? What did you teach there?
French.
Imagine that. Elaine, is that the way you pronounce it?
Eliane.
Eliane, huh? That's very pretty. Eliane.
Thank you.
Do you miss anything in particular about Paris? I mean, is there anything there that you'd like to have over here?
Yes, I miss my family most of all, but I miss the sidewalk cafes.
We have sidewalk cafes here. They're very popular over here. Only we call them drive-ins. Haven't you been to one of our sidewalk cafes?
Oh, yes, I have, but nobody gets out of the cars.
They can't get out of the car. The minute you get out of your car in this country, some crook from the finance company drives in and drives it away. And your name is Ernest Mayo, huh?
Yes, but I'm usually called Ern Mayo. That's E-R-N, not U-R-N.
You mean like a Greek iron?
Yes.
How much does a Greek iron, do you know?
Oh. About $50 a week in tips.
Where are you from, Iron?
Seattle, Washington.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a salesman.
You can't be much of a salesman. You've been standing here for quite some time, and you haven't sold me anything. What do you sell?
I sell antifreeze for Dupont companies. They're ex-antifreeze.
Antifreeze?
Yes.
Huh? Well, I admit I've cooled off a lot in the last few years, but I'm certainly not ready for antifreeze. How long have you been selling this stuff?
12 years.
Have you sold any yet?
Oh, yes, considerable quantities. I sell antifreeze in Alaska.
How cold does it get up there in Alaska?
Oh, in Fairbanks, it'll go to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
60 below?
Yes.
I freeze at 60 above. Well, how do you sell your products, Ian? Do you go from igloo to igloo and knock on the door? Now, pretend I'm an Eskimo, and you're selling me some of your stuff. Now, you go ahead.
You're an Eskimo?
Yeah.
Nanook, what kind of car are you driving?
What kind of a car am I driving? I got eight dogs and a sled. What happens if I don't use antifreeze?
Well?
Or I use her husband?
Well, you'll have a cracked block.
Well, I have that now. I don't have to go to Alaska for that. Huh? Do you still earn a living as a French teacher, Elaine?
No, Mr. Marx, I now manage a Slenderella salon.
You work in a saloon? You sell what?
I manage a Slenderella salon.
Slenderella? Oh, I know. That's the, where they knock you around all day for take off the weight?
And we give her a figure analysis because every woman's figure is different.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Well, basically they're the same, aren't they?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I would. I've been around. I know women's figures are different, and when you get married, you're still getting a pig and a poke. Sometimes you just get a pig. And later, she gives you a poke. Well, how do you perform this miracle? How do you change a woman's figure?
Well, perhaps if you visit our salon, I'll be delighted to give you a courtesy visit,
Well,
Mr. Marx.
could I come in there and get one of those, too?
If you could disguise yourself as a lady.
I'd have trouble disguising myself as a man. Well, I couldn't come in your shop, huh?
No, because you're a gentleman.
That's what you think. Well, how do you do this? Do you put your customers on a diet?
No, we don't believe in dieting.
You don't?
We believe in a sensible way of eating. For instance, taking objects that everyone would know, a pound of feather is a pound of feather, right? Pound of lead is a pound of sand. But,
It depends on where you have it.
lead. But the quality is different. For example...
And your job is to get the lead out, is that it? Don't you ever get the feathers out?
We take everything that's not needed.
I see. What time do you open tomorrow?
9 o'clock,
I'll
9
be
to
there at
9,
8,
every day.
I'll be there at 8.
I don't get there until 9:15.
I'll get there at 10 minutes of 9, huh? Well, you make an ideal couple, and if you two don't get married, you're crazy.
Married already.
Are you married?
Oh, yes.
And why did you invite me to your place tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock? You make an ideal couple, either one of you. And my advice to both of you is don't take any advice from me. Now, let's see how well you work together as a team. France and Alaska. You selected a dictionary quiz. I'll ask you some questions. If you miss 2 in a row, you're out. If you get 4 in a row right, you win $1,000. Now, if insolence means arrogance, what is indolence?
Lazy.
Lazy.
You now have one right.
Now, if a lampoon is a satire, what is a harpoon?
Spear used for fish.
A spear used for fish?
That's true. I always thought a harpoon was one of my brothers.
You now have 2 right. You're halfway to your $1,000.
If a moat is a protective ditch, what is a stoat? S-T-O-A-T.
Animal? No. I don't know. Animal?
Animal is right.
Oh!
Actually, specifically, it's an ermine. Really? You should have known that from...
Being in the far north.
Oh, no, yeah.
One more right, and you'll have your $1,000. You have 3 now.
If a trivet is an ornamental hot plate, what is a civet? C-I-V-E-T.
Civet cat, an animal. Civet cat, an animal.
And you got 4 in a row, and you win $1,000.
What time does your husband leave in the morning?
He's out in the audience.
Huh? Is he?
Yeah.
Is he out in the audience?
Yes.
Forget the whole thing. Isn't a civet, isn't that a skunk?
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a skunk?
No, I guess not.
It's a cat. It's not a skunk. Huh? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes. Well, now you've won $1,000. Now you can keep it and quit, or else you can come back later. That's French. And try to double your money. You may even get a chance at $5,000 or even $10,000. So, arrivederci.
Groucho, I'm sure you remember a fellow we had on the show last week. His name was HG Morton. He was one of the founders of the Society for the Domination of Women. And he had some rather unusual ideas on the care and feeding of the American female. And as you would suspect, the American female, after hearing his views...
Sent a lot of mail in, I suppose.
Well, not only mail, but telegrams and letters,
Complaints?
too. Well, no, actually demanding equal time.
Well, I think that's fair.
To a little rebuttal on their
Yes.
part. So, tonight, one of the women who sent in a telegram, actually, was Pat Hunter, and she is here tonight, along with Mr. Morton himself. So, folks, come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word and divide an extra $100. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Good evening. Mr. Morton, you look very familiar to me.
Yes, sir, Mr. Marx.
I'm glad to see you. I see you still in one piece.
Mostly, I believe.
Yeah. And Pat Hunter,
Yes.
you're here to defend American womanhood against Mr. Morton's charges last week. Is
I
that right?
sure am.
And you certainly have the right name for it, Hunter. Well, before we pursue this argument, let's find out something about you, Pat. For example, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. And where are you from?
Well, I was born in Abilene, Texas.
Are you married?
Yes.
How did you meet your husband?
Well, we were both going to college at West Texas State College in Canyon, Texas. And I was dated up for about 3 weeks the first time he asked me for a date.
You were dated up for 3 weeks?
Yes.
With how many different fellows?
Well, gee, I've forgotten. That's an awful long time ago.
I mean, were they all different ones?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of men in Texas.
You were crazy to leave there. Why don't you go back and get the surplus? Well, so what happened?
Well, when he asked me for the date, I told him he would have to wait for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And in his words, he said, I don't wait no 3 weeks for nobody.
Was he a college man?
Yes.
What was he studying? English? And who was his professor? Jimmy Durante? He says, I ain't going to wait no 3 weeks for nobody?
Mm-hmm, that's what he said.
Well, that's two negatives. That makes an affirmative. That means he did want to wait. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. He came back the next day and said he'd changed his mind and that he would wait 3 weeks.
And what did he do for these 3 weeks while you were gallivanting around with 21 other young potential lovers?
Well, I think he was probably going around with about 21 other girls.
Well, you two are doing a landlord's business down there. Well, let's get down to the business at hand. Now, Mr. Morton, I'll call you Greg.
That's right, Mr. Martin.
How old are you, Greg? I've forgotten the details.
35.
As I recall, you're not married?
That's right, Mr. Martin.
And you have anything against marriage?
Oh, no, I think it's a great institution.
We went through that, I think. You told us about your Society for the Prevention of Women or something like that. Could you briefly describe this outfit and some of its aims for this audience?
Well, actually, we're a very serious group, Mr. Marx, and have, I think, a very laudable goal. The group is called the Society for the Domination of Women. SO for Society, DO for the Domination, and WO for Women, or Soda Wool.
Is that anything like soda bed? Now, what are the aims of this society?
Well, the first one I might mention is the disenfranchisement of women. Take their right of vote away. We feel that the political life in this country is becoming dominated by women. And one way to correct that situation is to take their right of vote away from them.
In other words, you're opposed to this matriarchy that we're now building in this country, is that?
Very much. It's become an extremely serious situation in this country.
Well, go on. While you're still alive, proceed with this, huh?
Well, another objective is to raise the entrance requirements for women at schools of higher education and lower them for men. Because we have a very
You mean
critical...
men are more stupid, is that it?
No, but there's a shortage of classroom facilities, and in the coming era, men must get higher education. So if there is any doubt, we feel that men should be favored and be given the opportunity.
What
to get
makes you
this
think
higher
that a man would go to college if there weren't any women there?
Well, they're at home. They're at
Oh,
home.
the men are at home? Or
The
how do
women
they-
are at home.
The women are at home?
That's right. That's where they belong.
You know, the average man feels more pleasant when he gets home and finds his wife isn't there. Now, why do you insist that women should stay home? Do you think they can be trusted there?
Well, I think in this day and age, Mr. Marx, the reason we have taken this stand is that we feel that the women in this country are frustrated and they're confused and they're unhappy.
You think they should be struck regularly like a gong, like Noel Coward said?
Well, you don't have to strike them physically. I think you can dominate someone without physically striking.
Well, how would you do it? Make faces at them? Now, Greg, in your opinion, why have women got in such a sad shape? That they're so insecure and unhappy? Do you think they feel the need of someone strong?
Well, actually, it's really a deplorable situation. They've been placed in this freedom that physiologically and psychologically they're not capable of handling. They're like a parakeet that's out of a cage and they can't wait to get back in the cage.
Don't you think women get bored sticking around the home all day?
Well, actually, the running of a home, Mr. Marx, is a very challenging occupation. The preparation of food, proper preparation of it is a very difficult art and should be a challenge to women.
It's virtually a lost art in this country.
You're right.
That's why the men are all cooking in the backyard with a barbecue. Now, Pat, have you got anything to say in rebuttal?
Well, he said ban women from colleges.
Yeah.
Well, okay, if the soda wool organization
I think
wishes,
soda water is probably closer to the title.
if they want to do that, that's just fine. Because even if they do ban us from college, it doesn't change the fact that women are basically smarter than men.
Miss Hunter, you'll get, or Mrs. Hunter, which is it?
Mrs.
You get no argument out of me on that speech. I think they outfox the man from the time they're born until they're carried away.
Well, I was going to say that.
Miles ahead in thinking.
Absolutely.
They anticipate every thought that the man has.
Absolutely.
Man is a big jerk.
Absolutely. No. But I was going to say that smartness, so to speak, isn't something that a woman learns in college. That's something she's born with. They can't take that away from her.
Of course. Yeah. Now, Pat, do you think women like to be dominated?
Well, I think they do.
I think they do, too.
If they can find a man that's man enough to dominate them.
Well, don't look at me. I can't even dominate my poodle. Pat, don't you believe that the average man cherishes his wife?
The average man regards his wife as a cheap labor-saving device, Groucho.
Well, there's certainly nothing cheap about the American housewife. Greg, why are you so worried about the women? What do you think the outcome will be if they're allowed to go on living?
Well, that is something that we're extremely concerned about, where this country is becoming really a matriarchy.
Yeah.
In fact, you probably know that 85% of the wealth in this country is controlled by the women.
That's true. That's through insurance and through alimony. Is there anything else you'd like to say on the subject before we close this thing up, Pat?
Well, he's complaining because women control 85% of the finances.
This
in
is
the
true,
country.
Pat. This is true.
I know it's true.
Yeah.
Well, do you know why?
Yes, because the men go to sleep early and the woman goes through his pockets.
Well, the reason is...
The female is basically a crook.
The reason is that, number one...
And she got pretty teeth. Look at her teeth. Smile at me. You weren't smiling. You were snarling. Huh? What else do you want to say to wrap this discussion up, Ben?
Well, the reason that 85% of the income is controlled by the women, the finances, is because men die first. Now, the only thing...
Well, why do you think they die first? They can't wait to get out of it, that's all.
Well, the only thing I would suggest to Soda Water to do about that is that they take up a biological study and arrange some way for the women to die first, and then they won't have that problem.
Well, I don't think that's too difficult. I think that can be solved. Well, you're an interesting couple, and I'm glad we heard both sides of this argument. I think that we've achieved one important result here tonight from this battle of the sexes. Tonight, all over America, men will be sleeping in an armchair out in the living room with their hands in their pants pockets. All right, well, let's see how well you two get along when it comes to making money. You selected movies, old and new. I'll ask you some questions. If you miss 2 in a row, you're out. If you get 4 in a row right, you win $1,000. How do you feel about this question of the domination of the male over the female? Do you subscribe to this philosophy, George? Well, you've given your answer, huh? Are you ready? Who plays the title role in the movie Gigi? Talk it over. You're partners now.
Leslie Caron.
Leslie Caron is right.
You now have one right.
What male star plays opposite Kim Novak in Vertigo? There you go.
Jimmy Stewart.
James Stewart.
You now have 2 right.
Rock Hudson plays the male lead in the latest version of Magnificent Obsession. Who played the same role in the first movie version? Talk it over. Come on, kids.
I think it was Joseph Cotton.
No, I'm sorry. It was Robert Taylor.
Now you have one wrong.
All right, Donna Reed won an Academy Award for her performance in what picture about Army life in Hawaii?
From Here to Eternity.
That's right.
You have one right.
Now, what is Elizabeth Taylor's film based on a Tennessee Williams play?
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Cat on a Hot Cat Roof.
You now have two right.
Dean Martin and Marlon Brando were two of the three male stars of the picture, The Young Lions. Who was the third? Dean Martin and Marlon Brando. There was another star. Who was the third?
Oh, Montgomery Clift.
Montgomery Clift.
You now have three right. Get the next one right, and you'll have $1,000.
A famous actor directed Bob Mitchum in the pictures The Enemy Below and The Hunters. What is the name of this actor-director? Talk it over.
Dick Powell.
Dick Powell is right.
And you had four in a row, and you get yourself $1,000.
A woman hater. She's nuts about him, too. I told you they like dominant men. You were right, Greg, and I want to apologize for anything I said to you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Marx.
Now, you won $1,000. You can keep it and quit. How was it? Was it nice?
Try it again?
Yes.
I'll not be dominated that far.
She wants to be dominated with reservations. I mean, 2 for tomorrow night. Now, you won $1,000. You can keep it and quit, or else you can come back later on the show and try to double your money. You may even get a chance at $5,000 or even $10,000. So go over there and sit down and think about it, and thanks for being on the show. Out of the dab sheet. We're ready to see who wants to get a crack at all the money. Will you bring out the first couple?
Would they come out here now, McDonnell and
right.
Ernest Mayo?
Now, you won $1,000 so far. If you decide to try for the big money and you fail, you wind up with a total of $500. Now, what are you going to do?
Personally, I think I'm going to keep it.
You're going to keep your money. Well, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:45, huh?
Thank you.
And what about you, Ernie?
Well, I think I'll have to save that money for my daughter. She's in college, and I think it'll come in
That's a
handy.
good way to spend it. I'll see you at 11 o'clock. Good night.
Good night.
All right, George, the next couple are here.
Here's Mr. Morton and Pat Hunter. Back
What
again.
are your decisions?
Yes, we're going to go for it.
You are, huh? All right, now you get to pick 2 numbers. Pick the first one for $10,000.
6.
6. Put up a 6, George. You pick a number for $5,000.
4.
4, 6, and 4. Now, you know your partners. If either of you win, you split it. Now, if neither question comes up, it's worth $2,000. Are you ready? Give it a spin. Well, it came up 2 instead of 4 and 6, so this question is worth $1,000. Right?
2,000.
2,000. You ready? One of the front-page sporting events of the 1958 summer season was the America Cup race, yacht race, between this country and Britain. The Scepter was the British entry. For $2,000, what was the name of America's winning yacht? Talk it over. What's the answer?
The Americas.
Oh, you're close. It was the Columbia. So, I'm sorry you missed it, but you wind up with $500. That isn't too bad. Congratulations. And thanks for being with us. You bet your life.
Thanks.